Lads, let's go up and down the Premier League for this week, match week 9 of the season. Let's preview it, give some score predictions. Love doing this for you guys. Let's start at the top of the table. Obviously, Arsenal are heading to Chelsea. Big London derby. Previewed it on PST earlier this week. Nick, what is your prediction for this game and what are you expecting? Because this is a huge rivalry match.
Yeah, expecting a return to form for the rivalry. I think Chelsea is right there. I can't wait to see this fully formed Chelsea project, but I don't quite think it's there yet. So wouldn't be surprised to see a draw. Wouldn't even be surprised to see one of those 0-0 bloody matches. But I'm gonna pick Arsenal to continue to impress early season and get a 1-0 win.
Yeah, it feels like a really tight, narrow game, but I'm kind of with you. I'm leaning towards Arsenal just having that. Well, they're obviously further ahead in their project than Chelsea, and I think they just have a knack right now of just winning games ugly. And it's not pretty, but Arsenal fans don't care because they started the season really well. And Chelsea, with all their injury issues, they're doing okay. And I think they'll push them all the way at Stamford Bridge this weekend. Andy, talking about another big rivalry game, Liverpool against Everton. We talked about it on PST extensively this week. Jurgen Klopp's side are the heavy favourites in this one, but Everton are okay under Sean Dyche. The injuries are starting to ease down and calm down, but all signs pointing towards a big home win at Anfield.
Yeah, I think it is. I think Sean Dyche is maybe evolving just a little bit this season and giving his team a little bit more freedom to build up and attack and create. These are not words you associate with Sean Dyche teams, but they've been more promising, especially in recent weeks. The big 3-0 win over Bournemouth last time out was their best performance and result of the season. But it's Liverpool. It's at Anfield. And Liverpool have very quickly, I think, taken to the evolution tactically that's happening there under Jurgen Klopp this season, getting that entirely new midfield in there. It's a lot more progressive in terms of possession and creating chances. I think that's helped them out a lot defensively. And so they have really, I think they've scored 3 goals against every team this season that has looked to sit back and defend deep against them and try and make themselves difficult to break down. Not difficult to break down for Liverpool. I think they'll get 3 more goals this weekend, and I'll go 3-1 for the Reds.
Fair enough. Let's see what happens in that big Merseyside derby. Nick, can we go to Manchester, just 30-odd miles inland from Liverpool? Man City against Brighton. I mean, for football purists, this is a great game, right? Pep Guardiola against Roberto De Zerbi. What are you expecting for this one?
I think this might be a little unpopular. But what I will tell you is that I think this is the sort of game where we talk ourselves into the Brighton project and De Zerbi's the next Pep. And then Manchester City goes out there and says, nope. Which isn't to say that's not right, but I just think this is the sort of game that gets Pep Guardiola going, that gets the guys going, and for them to stew on what they went through, for them to go through what they've clearly gone. I think they're a little bit tired of hearing the name Rodri. Too. Yeah. So I think this is going to be a relatively comfortable home win. Both teams will score, but relatively comfortable home win.
Yeah, and Rodri's back for this one, so that's
exactly.
Good. They can finally stop talking about that. And Kevin De Bruyne, obviously missing through injury, is always going to be a big miss. But yeah, I'm excited by this one because you're right. I think a lot of people maybe are thinking that De Zerbi, if he continues doing what he's doing at Brighton this season, he could be the one day that would replace Guardiola. But we said that about Graham Potter. We said that about, so many other managers over the years that obviously he has to keep doing it for a long time. And by the way, Pep, it doesn't seem like he's going anywhere anytime soon. Yeah. But this is exciting because I think Brighton will go toe-to-toe with City. And I think we're going to see a very high-scoring game at the Etihad. So cue a 1-0 win for Man City with a 94th minute Erling Haaland penalty kick. Andy, when we talk about your team, Tottenham Hotspur, playing Fulham in the London derby, what are you expecting for this one, mate? Because Spurs are sitting pretty at the top of the table. Great start to the season. Showing different signs of themselves, which I really like. Free-flowing football one game, having to grind out a win against Luton away after going down to 10 men in another. So whatever Ange Postecoglou does right now seems to be working. How long can this keep on going for Spurs?
Yeah, I did notice, Joe, on the rundown, Spurs did get a bump up to that top line there when we're talking about title favorites, or title challengers. Yeah. I appreciate the respect. I'm not totally buying into that quite yet at this point. Like over the last month, they've gotten away with it in incredible fashion on a number of occasions. And you can say, having to grind it out against Luton, they put themselves into that position and they failed to convert scoring chances earlier in the game when they should have been 3-0 up after 20 or 30 minutes. And then they go down to 10 men when Basuma gets sent off. And yes, they do grind it out, and that's a positive sign going forward. But they have gotten away with it quite a few times. The comeback against Sheffield United, the VAR controversy against Liverpool. Weirdly, their best performance in the last month was the only game they didn't win. That was the 2-2 draw against Arsenal. At some point, they're going to stop getting away with it. I don't think it's this one against Fulham, though. I've just not seen anything from Fulham that shows that they are ready to evolve and to grow going forward. It feels like they are still very much missing Mitrovic. João Palhinha is, I don't know, he's playing fine, but he's clearly doesn't want to be there. He didn't want to be there on transfer deadline day. So tough times for Fulham. I think Spurs get a victory in this one. But again, it's just kind of a grind it out, get the job done thing where if you keep stockpiling points early in the season under Postecoglou, it's all money in the bank, I think, at this point.
Yeah, it really is. If we focus now on the teams that are focusing on European qualification and sort of mid-table of the Premier League, I mean, Aston Villa against West Ham are two teams that are very much focused on, taking that next step, be it top 6, top 4 for both of those teams. That's their aim this season, I think, and they could get there. They could get very close to it. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game. I think very different kind of styles of play in some ways, but when we actually look about it, they're both very good on the counter-attack, however they try and build up or however they try to manipulate positions to get players into. Very similar level of players, I feel like, and experience. And yes, I know they both play in claret and blue as well, so that just blurs the similarities even more in my head when I think of these two teams. But the one word I think of is overachievement, and I think they've done that over the last 12 months, both of these teams. And hats off to David Moyes at West Ham and Unai Emery at Villa. They are overachieving with the squad of players, but because they've done that, they now have a better caliber of players to work with. And I think that's the most interesting thing for this season is, can they continue to progress with these new shiny toys, if you will, that they have at their disposal, and can they keep pulling a rabbit out of the hat? But I think they're going to cancel each other out at Villa Park in this one. Nick, Newcastle United against Crystal Palace. What are you looking for this one?
Is Newcastle going to be allowed to, or will they choose to use Sandro Tonali? Obviously, there's some serious reporting going on right now about some, let's say, legal challenges he might be facing. And I think if there's one area that Newcastle cannot afford to take a hit, it's in the midfield. Given Champions League play, I don't know how often you want to have Sean Longstaff and Elliot Anderson out there together. I don't know how much you want to tax Bruno Guimaraes. So that's a huge question, because otherwise I would tell you to expect Newcastle to win, even if French Eddie gets his goal for Palace. So watch the lineups before you feel good or bad about this one, even at St. James Park. But I still think Newcastle can get a win.
Yeah, that seems about right. And Sheffield United against Manchester United, Andy, what are you looking at for this one? Because United got away with it before the break against Brentford, somehow won that game. But Sheffield United, I mean, there's one team United want to play right now. It's probably Sheffield United.
Yeah, I would say so. 1 or 2 teams still without a win. A nice little run here coming up for Manchester United. Sheffield United, Copenhagen, and Champions League before Man City and the Derby coming. So a chance to just get themselves right a little bit, get a little bit of confidence back, a couple not easy wins, but some comfortable wins with good performances. Erik ten Hag has to have it. He absolutely has to have it. I think he gets it this weekend. I'll go 2-0 for Manchester United. But again, as I say, I think every week, I care so much more about the performance than the result for this team right now.
Absolutely. And we look at the relegation situation, teams towards the bottom. Luton heading to Nottingham Forest. Forest win, I think, but I could easily see that being a draw, because I think I've seen enough from Luton that they are a pretty ugly team to play against, but it's very effective. And Nottingham Forest, sometimes a lack of creativity in the final third is the one thing that I would kind of task them with. And they've become very solid under Steve Cooper. I think over the years, he's kind of changed from being a coach that loves to play with creativity, fluidness. And with all the new players, even this summer arriving, less than last year, but more this summer, bless you, Nick. I think that Luton could have some some joy here from set pieces, and I worry if Forest aren't going to get back into the game because sometimes they're just a bit laboured. But I'm going to go. They're on home soil. They're pretty good at the City ground, so I'm going to go maybe a 1-0 win for Forest in that game. I think that's about right. Andy, Bournemouth against Wolves. What's your expectations there? Because Gary O'Neill's going to want to go back there with a point to prove because I thought he did a really good job at Bournemouth, and it was really harsh to let him go. And Wolves have been pretty good this season, huh?
Yeah, Wolves have been good, but in a different way. They're not exactly a defensive team the way they've been in the past. They've given up 5th most in the Premier League in terms of expected goals against. You would not expect that from them the way that they've played the last handful of seasons. They're creating more than they're defending, so take a little time to wrap your head around that. I think when you watch Wolves this weekend, but nobody in the Premier League has scored fewer goals than Bournemouth. They have 5 through 8 games, so of course they're they're the other winless team still. They won't have many better chances, I think, to get some goals than this weekend against Wolves who are struggling defensively. But I'll go 1-1 in this one. I don't see a ton of scoring chances for either side. A pretty safe opportunity for both of them to maybe steal a victory, I think, is the mindset going in. And I think neither of them get it.
Yeah, a bit worried about Bournemouth this season. I said ahead of the campaign, Ariel's a very good manager. It's going to take a while for his tactics to get embedded in there, but I just don't know they have the firepower. I just really don't know they have the firepower to play that way and create chances to get the wins they need. So intriguing to see what happens there, I think, over the next few months as we head into the winter. Nick, Brentford against Burnley. Take us home. What are your thoughts on that one?
A little bit worried for Brentford on the whole this year, not particularly in this game. Sorry, Burnley, glossing over it a little bit, but they're actually allowing more shots in open play than they're taking, which is very un-Brentford. I know they like to play open. The Ben Mee absence, I think, has hurt almost as much as the Ivan Toney absence. So this game may be closer than you like, and if Burnley were to get something out of it, then Brentford's going to be fine system-wise long-term, but it's just not a great feeling there right now.
Yeah, especially Rico Henry going down with the injury, Kevin Schade as well. They're losing David Raya to Arsenal. It's, again, another team. I don't worry about Brentford as much as I do Bournemouth, but I still don't think they're going to hit the same heights they have the last few years. And that's okay. I think as long as they stay in the Premier League, I think they'll be able to rebuild. And obviously, Tony coming back mid-season, if he is at Brentford, then that'll be a big boost for them as well. So, lads, thanks so much for joining me. That was previewing match week 9 of the Premier League season with our previews and picks. Thanks everyone so much for watching PST this week. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the how to watch info on the games coming up in match week 9. We love the international break. It's great to see the USMNT in action and all the other international teams, but it is great to have the Premier League action back, and we'll have you covered here on PST with a busy period coming up for Premier League teams. Thanks for watching. Cheers, guys. Speak to you all soon.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.